The parts for step 12 that you will need are A13, A12, A9, and 4 of E4. All right, guys, welcome back to the build, the Ducati build. Gonna have to pardon my voice. I'm recovering from COVID right now, so my voice is a little bit deeper and a lot more sick sounding. Anyway, I started this step, which is step 12, and was filming it and didn't realize I was on slow motion. So I went ahead and glued all these parts together already, these three here, which is A13, A12, and A9, paying close attention to when I glued this piece here as to make sure I created like a little plastic filler, because when that is glued together, it's going to cause a seam to be seen in the plastic, which we want to sand away and make sure that when we paint it, you don't see a seam. So I have glued these three pieces together, which is a result of this. So a little bit of sanding, and they are calling for this to be painted gloss black, which we are going to do. If you notice here, when I glued it, it created extra plastic to fill in the seam. So now when I sand that, it should be no seam visible. So we'll see how that works out. Plus, we're also going to do the 4 wheels of the motorcycle stand. They say to paint them smoke black, which these parts are off of the clear sprue, so they're clear. I'm going to paint mine clear red with the silver and black center, just to add a little bit of difference. But you can paint them whatever color you want. The directions say for smoke black. But I'm going to go ahead and cut these parts out and get them ready for paint while this assembly still is drawing. All right, we have the clear sprue with our 4 wheels, which is E4. So I'm going to cut all those out and get those ready to actual paint. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the clear sprue back in its bag to kind of protect it from any scratches on the clear parts, like the windscreen or the tail lights or any of that. So we are going to sand some of those pieces off. Well, not sand the pieces off, but just the rough edges. But I definitely don't want to sand too much, just to get it smooth. These I picked up, these sanding sticks I picked up at a hobby shop. I believe it was a Hobby Town in Kennesaw, Georgia, when I was visiting down there. And they're really kind of handy because they're flexible, so they bend with the part. So they have a good little handle on what grit you use also. They come in these little cases, and they have all different uses. So you can, there we go. So they come in these little cases. Like I was using the 1200, which comes with several of them in there. So this set goes up to 2500, starts at 1000 grit, and this starts at 180 grit, which is really coarse, and goes up to 800 grit. So kind of a cool little case. They come in very handy. All right, I'm gonna go get these ready to paint. I think what I'm gonna do is put, see if they'll stay on toothpicks so I can paint them all as once without having to handle them. Then I'll come back and see about working on this seam right here, sanding it and getting it smooth so we can get this painted as well. Okay, in order to paint these wheels, what I'm using are toothpicks to go in the holes that will actually mount it to the frame. They're kind of wobbly, so I'm going to have to be careful when I paint to have my air pressure not blow it off of there. But in order to fit, I'm trimming down the toothpick a little bit. To try to get a tighter fit in the hole. But it's a little wobbly by itself. So I'm taking a little blue tack and I'm just kind of getting just a little of the blue tack on the tip of the toothpick. And then I'm going to put it right down in the hole. So now the toothpick and the blue tack is going to help paint the clear red part. So they'll be ready for a little bit of clear red here in a minute. And we can get going on some painting. And I can't wait for my voice to get a little bit better. And there we go. Seal that back up so it stays still tacky. And I'm gonna go mix some paint so we can do some airbrushing. Be right back. All right, the color we're gonna shoot the wheels, well, I'm gonna shoot the wheels, is LP52 Clear Red. And we're gonna thin it with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. And I'm still going to do 50-50. I'm going to do 2, just in case the wheels take more than I think they're going to take. Gonna give it a quick stir. Let's make sure it's all mixed up. Okay. Stir it up, suck it in to the eyedropper. I'm sorry, the pipette. All right, I'm gonna go shoot these and I will be right back. For you, it'll seem just like an instant. Okay, this piece is ready to start sanding and getting ready for paint. So, I'm gonna grab some different courses of sanding sticks. It's going to allow me to get in here and around. I'm just going to let the sanding stick do the work. I'm not pressing, I'm not putting any force on it. I'm just bringing it back and forth across the surface because I don't want I don't want to dig into the plastic, so I'm just letting the sanding stick do the job. No pressure, just dragging it back and forth. I'm already starting to feel that it's going away. So trying to get that seam. I don't want any seam. See if you can tell right there underneath. That's a seam. And you start to see it here, but you don't see it on top, so I'm doing good so far. Go with a thinner one. That allows me to get down in this corner, this bend better. A lot of times on a fuel tank for a motorcycle, you'll have to glue two halves of a fuel tank together, which leaves an ugly seam right down the middle of it that you gotta fill and sand and prime, and because if you see a seam, it's not good. Just slow working. I think we have the seam pretty much gone. We'll know after we hit it with a primer coat. I'm going to primer it with black. I'm not going to worry too much on the bottom here because it'll sit and you won't see that. I am worried about that because I can still feel it. Which tells me there's still a seam there. So I may actually need to put some filler in there. All right, so I'm going to shoot it with some primer and see where we're at. I have a feeling I'm still going to see the seam. And if that's the case, then I'm going to use a little bit of super glue. Just a little bead of it, and then sand that smooth. But let's see what primer does first. All right, be right back. All right, I have some wheels done. So that is the wheels painted red, and then the centers painted semi-gloss black. So I've done both sides. I've already done 3 of the wheels. So I'm going to show you how I did them. I could have tried just to paint them by hand, but sometimes I'm insecure about the way. So I grabbed my little circle guide and I looked through all of these, and the one that works the best was this circle right here. So what I did is detack it a little bit. And then I put it right here. And then I have to cut. You have to see where it is. See where that center line is. And so you just poke it. Oh, I need to change my glasses. Okay. And then we just follow that circle around. You can see the line. I'm just guiding the X-Acto in the channel that is there for me. Okay, then I grab this and it gives me a little mask. So then what I do is I grab a wheel and I try to center it. As I look down through the hole in the tape, I center it with the mask. And then I go and airbrush that LP5, which is a semi-gloss black. And then I flip it over and do it on the other side. And then I'll come back in and hand paint the very center of that gloss aluminum. So let me go do this last one, and that's what you end up getting. Pretty cool. All right, be right back. All right, pretty happy with everything moving. We are going to paint the last part, this little center hub on the wheels. We're going to paint them LP70, which is a gloss aluminum. So we're just going to grab each wheel, put it back on one of these little toothpicks, and try not to drop it. So I think I'm going to put some more blue tack on it. So then that gives me something to hold it while I paint it. And I believe one more thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add to this that they did not add in the directions. This section here, right here, I am going to paint that like a dark gunmetal or a dark aluminum, just to separate that color from the gloss black. So first one. All right, there's 3. Last one. All right. So technically all the pieces are done for this step. We just have to glue them together once they all dry. So I am going to, while those wheels are drying, I'm going to go ahead and, like I mentioned, I'm going to paint that little nub right there real quick. So I shall be, well, I guess I don't have to go anywhere, do I? I'll be right here. I might just hand paint it. There we go. All right, so now we just have to glue these wheels on and this step will be done. Let me clean up my brushes and we'll be back. All right, time to glue the wheels on, which I've painted the pegs. So I'm going to scrape the paint off the legs. Well, not the legs, the little pegs. Scraping, I don't want to scrape too much plastic off. I'm just trying to scrape a little bit off of the paint that's on those pegs that have to be glued onto the wheels, just so it gives a chance for the glue to do its job. So I will dab a little bit on there. I can grab one of these. I'll put it on there. And that's going to represent the wheels. It's literally just a tiny amount of glue. And just trying to keep a lookout, make sure they're straight. Make everything straight up and down while they dry. Oh, don't do that. They're a little bit fiddly. But before the glue dries, you can move them around a little bit, make sure they look straight on compared to the orientation of the axle. And just ever so slightly. So I'm going to let it sit. Well, no, I'm not. I don't want any pressure to be on those wheels, so I'm just going to let it sit like that until I think the glue is dry. And that is step number 12. So thanks for putting up with my lovely COVID voice. And next step, step 13, we'll attach this stand to the actual bike with 3 or 4 other pieces. So look forward to seeing you guys then. Appreciate all those of you that have subscribed. If you're watching this series or this video for the first time and you like it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button. I welcome any comments or suggestions. I appreciate hearing from all of you. Till next time.